Welcome to Book Summary Podcast, your gateway to personal transformation. Each episode delivers big ideas from the world's most impactful books on mindset, productivity, and success, all in just a few minutes. Ready to turn knowledge into action? Let's get started.
Welcome, curious minds, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're plunging into a topic that, well, for many of us, probably feels like it's already buried us.
Oh yeah, which one's that?
The relentless, never-ending mountain of things to do. You know the feeling, right?
I think everyone does. That overflowing inbox, the constant pings, the demands, that feeling you're just barely keeping your head above water.
Exactly. The book we're looking at today, The 5 Choices, paints this picture really well. Like Jivon, this executive, dozing off on a plane, just totally overwhelmed by work, wondering if he'd ever even have time to start a family.
Or Kiva, another example they use, waking up anxious, immediately reaching for her email, feeling busy, sure, but ultimately kind of unfulfilled. She even skipped her yoga session because she got sucked in.
So the question for you listening is, does any of that resonate? Does it sound like your daily grind? Do you ever feel buried under that mountain of tasks, responsibilities, and just the sheer speed of everything coming at you?
If the answer is yes, then, well, you're definitely in the right place for this deep dive.
Absolutely. Our mission today is really custom-tailored to help you cut through that exact feeling of overwhelm.
Yeah, our goal is to take a stack of really insightful knowledge from this book, The 5 Choices, The Path to Extraordinary Productivity, by Kory Kogon and Merrill. We want to pull out the most important nuggets for you.
Think of it like a shortcut, maybe. A shortcut to being well-informed about how you can reclaim your most valuable assets, your time, your attention, and critically, your energy.
And hopefully you'll find some surprising facts, maybe a few real aha moments along the way.
And practical strategies too, right? The goal is to help you shift from feeling constantly stressed and buried to, well, consistently accomplished and maybe even fulfilled.
That's the plan. And at the heart of all this is what the authors call the productivity paradox.
Okay, the productivity paradox. What's that about?
It's this core idea, basically, that in our super hyper-connected, tech-ameled world, it's actually both easier and harder than ever before to achieve what they call extraordinary productivity.
Huh? Easier and harder.
That's interesting. Because you're right. On one hand, modern tech is just incredible.
Totally. I mean, a kid in Bangladesh can learn from the best teachers anywhere. People across the globe can collaborate in real time.
We can access huge libraries of knowledge instantly. It's advanced medicine, helped decode the human genome, even played a role in political change. The revolution is, clearly just getting started.
And yet, here's the paradox. These exact same technologies can make it incredibly difficult to actually accomplish what's truly important.
How so?
Well, think about that constant incoming flow of information. It fills our lives with tasks and demands that honestly might not matter that much in the grand scheme of things. Anyone, anywhere can just drop something into your digital inbox, right?
Yeah, and you feel compelled to respond, even if it's just to say no or to delete it. It still takes a slice of your attention.
Exactly. It's like we're being buried alive by this unstoppable flow, and it just robs us of the energy we could be spending on higher value activities, the things that really make a difference. So we end up redefining success. Maybe, like just getting things done on time, often barely, instead of doing truly extraordinary work with real quality and focused attention.
Precisely. And the human cost of this paradox, it's profound. So many people feel overwhelmed, constantly buried, just drained of their capacity.
Agitated, anxious, stressed.
Yeah, both when they're working and when they're not. The book describes it so well, a semi-permanent state of worried restlessness. It just pervades our culture, draining our confidence, our joy.
And it's a challenge that's probably only going to get more intense for people who don't learn how to manage it, right?
Absolutely. You have to learn to tame it.
Okay, so this productivity paradox, it's fascinating. The authors break it down into 3 critical challenges. What's the first big one they identify? Why is it such a problem today?
Right. The first challenge is that we are making more decisions than ever before. Just think about it. If you look back, say, to the early 20th century, productivity gains came mostly from automating manual labor, breaking work down into repeatable tasks like on an assembly line.
That industrial age model.
Exactly. That built industrial wealth. But now, in the 21st century, the value has shifted dramatically. It's moved from manual labor to creative mental labor.
Like designing software, engineering complex things, marketing services.
Right. Economic value has shifted from what they call low decision content work, using our hands, to high decision content work using our brains.
And what's really tricky here, I guess, is the sheer speed of all these incoming decisions.
Oh, absolutely. The velocity. And a lot of people, because we're committed, we're hardworking, we try to handle this linearly, one decision at a time as fast as we can, like that old assembly line.
But that doesn't work anymore.
Well, the problem is high-value decisions aren't linear. They're often non-linear opportunities. If you just try to tackle them one by one down the line, you might miss the really important ones, or you address them poorly because you're just trying to keep up.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for feeling overwhelmed. Just putting your head down, trying to do more faster.
Yeah.
That doesn't actually create extraordinary productivity in this new world.
Not when the real value comes from stepping back, prioritizing your choices, and making good decisions on the things that genuinely impact results.
That makes sense.
They even share this surprising finding, even in jobs that seem pretty low complexity, like a fast food worker. The difference in productivity between the top and bottom performers was so huge, it was basically unmeasurable.
Wow. So even there's a massive opportunity for conscious choice.
Exactly. It's not just about the job description, it's about the choices you make within it.
That's a powerful point.
Mhm.
Okay, what about the second challenge they highlight? How does that mess with our ability to focus?
Well, the second challenge feeds right into that. It's that our attention is under unprecedented attack. While we're trying to juggle all these decisions, we're just constantly bombarded by beeps, buzzes, and banners invading our mental space.
Yeah, the constant interruptions.
And this comes at a real biological cost. Paying attention isn't just a saying, it's a real cost. It requires biological and neurological energy.
It's actually easier for our brains to get distracted by less important, maybe more stimulating things.
Much easier. So if we're not careful, we can end up on mental autopilot, just bouncing from one distraction to another, and we completely miss the things that are uniquely meaningful.
The things that could actually make our days, our life, our relationships truly extraordinary.
Exactly. Which leads us straight into the third critical challenge they identify.
Which is?
We are suffering from a personal energy crisis. I mean, think about it. In the middle of all these decisions, all these attacks on our attention, do you find yourself struggling to think clearly sometimes?
Definitely. Feeling worn out, relying on coffee or, worse, energy drinks just to power through the day.
Yeah. Or have you ever finished a work day or maybe a work week just so utterly exhausted that you collapse into what they call a couch coma?
The couch coma. I know it well. You just can't muster the energy for anything else, like the people or activities you actually love.
Right. And a truly productive life, they argue, is a conscious life. But that takes significant mental energy. And this unstoppable flow of incoming stuff, amplified by technology, leaves us so worn out, so tired, that we face this genuine personal energy crisis.
We just can't summon the mental energy to think clearly. And in a knowledge work world, that's a massive problem.
It really is. And it's not just about physical energy, although that's definitely part of it, as we'll see later. It's about the raw energy needed for that mental labor. Our brains need specific things like glucose, oxygen to function well.
And yet?
And yet, the book points out that our modern work environments, think cubicles, sitting all day, are often an almost perfect anti-brain setup. They actively work against our brain's natural needs and energy cycles.
Wow. Anti-brain environments. That's quite a thought.
Mm.
And these issues, they're not just feelings, right? They're actually quantifiable.
Absolutely. The authors share some pretty startling data from a huge FranklinCovey global study. 6 years, over 350,000 respondents worldwide.
Okay, what did they find?
They found that 40%, almost half of our time, attention, and energy is spent on unimportant or irrelevant activities.
40%. Just think about that for a minute. If your car only worked, 60% of the time? Or your computer? Or imagine your bank account only generated a return half the time.
You wouldn't accept it, right? No way.
So why do we accept it for our most valuable asset, our lives? The time and energy we spend living each day.
That's a great question. And from an organizational perspective, this waste is just staggering. They calculate that for a 500-person organization, assuming an average hourly wage of $50, it translates to over $20 million annually lost. Just gone. Wasted time, attention, energy.
That's a massive, very real impact of this productivity paradox.
Yeah.
It hits our work, sure, but also our relationships, our satisfaction, even our health.
And it comes right back to you, the listener.
Oh.
What if you could shift that ratio? What if instead of 60-40 important versus unimportant, you could nudge it to 70-30 or even 80-20?
What difference would that make? In your work, yes, but also in your relationships, your sense of accomplishment, your joy each day.
It's a huge potential shift. It's not about working more. It's about working more on what matters.
Now, when we talk about extraordinary productivity, we should probably clarify what that means. It's not like you need to broker world peace on Friday and then win a Nobel Prize on Monday, right?
No, exactly. What it means in this context is simply you living and working at your best. It's about bringing your whole self, your unique talents, your energies to what you do.
Doing work you can genuinely feel great about.
Right. And it might sound a bit idealistic, maybe, especially if you feel kind of stuck in a rigid job. But remember that fast food worker example we mentioned earlier?
Yeah, the one who was 3 times more productive.
Exactly. Even in that low complexity role with a very defined job description. Why? Because, as the book says, he consciously decided what was most important among the things he could influence, focused his attention on them, and brought his finest energy to that work.
Fundamentally, he decided to bring his whole self to the job.
And the result? His work was way more productive, sure, but also more enjoyable and rewarding for him, and more impactful for the people he served. It really highlights this common struggle we all face.
What's that?
That people generally are often so busy just trying to handle it all that they don't even pause to realize what accomplishment really feels like.
We get lost in the busyness.
Exactly. So the core premise of the 5 choices is that actually everyone has the capability to do extraordinary work and feel satisfied and accomplished daily.
And this deep dive, we hope, will show you that practical path, how to overcome the tyranny of the endless flow of the incoming by directly tackling those 3 challenges we talked about.
The overwhelming decisions, the attack on our attention, and that personal energy crisis.
It's really about taking control, isn't it? Not letting your life just be lived for you by external demands.
Absolutely. And it all starts, fundamentally, with how you make decisions, which brings us neatly to choice 1. Act on the important, don't react to the urgent.
Welcome back. We're diving deep into the 5 choices, the path to extraordinary productivity. And we're kicking off the choices themselves with choice 1. Act on the important, don't react to the urgent. This one's all about decision management.
Exactly. And the core principle here is discernment. It's defined simply as the ability to judge well.
Okay, discernment. How does that play out?
Well, think back to Kiva's morning rush that we mentioned. She immediately grabbed her phone, checked emails, felt anxious, ended up scrolling for like 45 minutes, and totally skipped her planned yoga session.
Right. She felt busy, probably, but was she productive?
That's the question. And the answer hinges on whether she was being discerning about how she used her brain in that moment. Was checking email the best use of her mental energy right then?
Probably not, if her goal was yoga and a centered start to the day. So let's talk about our brains then. How does understanding them help?
The book offers a useful, simplified model, basically 2 key parts. First, there's what they call the reactive brain. This is the lower part of the brain.
The older part, evolutionarily.
Yeah, the source of our fight or flight response. It processes feelings, emotions, and, importantly, pleasure. It operates automatically really quickly and uses very little energy.
Which makes it kind of the default setting.
In a way, yes. And it's the part marketers often target, right? Seeing us as wallets with neurons attached, playing on those automatic responses.
Okay, so that's the reactive brain. What's the other part?
In contrast, you have the thinking brain. This is the upper part, the prefrontal cortex, often called the executive function. This is where we make conscious and very intentional decisions.
This is where discernment happens.
Exactly. It's where we act rather than react, where we choose to pay attention deliberately. It's what allows us humans to transcend our primitive responses and do amazing things like, create civilization and culture.
And the really good news from neuroscience, they point out, is that we can actually train this part. We can rewire our brains.
Absolutely. With practice, we can rewire our brains to be more thoughtful and discerning about our choices. It's like strengthening a muscle.
That's huge. So this connects directly back to Kiva, and really to all of us. Our productivity, our effectiveness, it depends fundamentally on how we use our brain.
Precisely. To be truly productive in today's world, you need to be conscious and intentional about everything you do, not just running on that reactive autopilot.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we make more conscious, intentional choices moment to moment?
This is where the authors introduce a really practical framework and process. FranklinCovey's time matrix and the pause, clarify, decide (PCD) process.
The time matrix. I think I've heard of that. It's the 4 quadrants, right?
That's the one. It's a framework to help us discern where to spend our precious time, attention, and energy. It works by categorizing tasks based on 2 criteria: urgency and importance.
Okay, define those terms in this context.
Urgent means something that feels like it has to be done right now, whether or not it actually makes a difference. It demands immediate attention.
Like a ringing phone or a notification pop-up.
Exactly. Whereas important means something that, if not done, will have serious consequences. These are the things that contribute to our mission, our values, our high priority goals.
Got it. Urgent is about immediate demand. Important is about long-term consequence.
Perfect. So let's quickly walk through the 4 quadrants of the time matrix. As we go, maybe you listening can think about where you tend to spend most of your time.
Okay, quadrant 1.
First, quadrant 1, Q1, the quadrant of necessity. These are things that are both urgent and important. Think crises, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects.
Firefighting mode.
Pretty much. You can feel productive, even give you an adrenaline rush. But if you live in Q1, you'll eventually burn out. It drains your best thinking, your creativity. In investment terms, the book calls it a break-even quadrant for energy. You put energy in, you get immediate results, but it's not building sustainable success.
Makes sense. Okay, what's next?
Next, we have quadrant 3, Q3, the quadrant of distraction. These activities are urgent, they scream for attention, but they are not important.
So they feel like they matter, but they don't really.
Exactly. There are no serious consequences if you don't do them. Examples: needless interruptions, unnecessary reports, irrelevant meetings, dealing with other people's minor issues, unimportant emails or tasks or phone calls.
The busy work trap.
Totally. So many people confuse motion with progress, action with accomplishment here in Q3. It's a huge time sink. And in terms of return, it's a negative return on your time and energy. It actively takes away from what's truly important.
Ouch. Okay, quadrant 4.
Then there's quadrant 4, Q4, the quadrant of waste. These activities are neither urgent nor important. This is often where we escape to after getting burned out in Q1 and Q3.
Like the couch coma we mentioned.
Exactly. Excessive TV watching, mindlessly scrolling through social media, trivial busy work. Spending too much time here leaves you feeling lethargic and aimless, and in extreme cases can even contribute to depression and even despair. It's a zero return on your investment.
Not good. Okay, so that leaves the last quadrant. The important one, I assume.
Absolutely. The sweet spot. The one we're aiming for. Quadrant 2. Q2, the quadrant of extraordinary productivity. These activities are important, but crucially, they are not urgent.
So they don't demand immediate attention, which means we have to consciously choose them.
Precisely. This is where the most thoughtful, creative, and proactive work happens. Things like planning, prevention, preparation, building relationships, recognizing new opportunities, learning, exercise, genuine relaxation.
The stuff that builds long-term success and well-being.
Yes. Being in Q2 requires your conscious choice and your thinking brain. It lowers stress, increases your long-haul productivity, and this is key, yields an exponential return on your time, attention, and energy.
Exponential return. Okay, that sounds good. So how do people actually spend their time, according to that study?
Right. The global study data is pretty revealing. On average, people reported spending 51.2% of their time on urgent activities, Q1 and Q3 combined, and 41.5% on unimportant activities, Q3 and Q4, which leaves only 30.8% for Q2, the important non-urgent stuff.
Wow. Only about 30% on the things that give that exponential return. That's sobering.
It really is. Think about it like your life's investment portfolio. Where would you invest? Q1 gives break-even returns. Q3 is negative. Q4 is zero. Q2 is exponential.
The choice seems obvious when you put it like that.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine Kiva's example again. If she gets a call that her brother was in a serious accident, that's Q1. Urgent. Important. She drops everything, right?
Of course.
But if her computer pings with a funny email from a colleague, it might feel urgent because it popped up, but it's really Q3. To stop her important work and read it is to invest her attention for a negative return. Discernment makes a huge difference, hundreds of times a day.
Okay, but what about the common excuse? This great theory, but my boss, my clients, my job makes me operate in Q1 or Q3.
Yeah, that's a very common feeling, and work environments definitely play a role. We can't deny that. However, the book encourages us to look in the mirror first.
Take responsibility for our own choices.
Exactly. Research consistently shows that even people with very tight job descriptions, even people who work in urgency-driven jobs, can take significant steps to reclaim some of their time. The bottom line is we might never be able to change our boss or our external circumstances entirely.
But we can change ourselves.
We can change ourselves, and often that's where the biggest leverage is.
So what are some of these self-imposed traps that keep us out of Q2?
One big one is urgency addiction. Our reactive brain has this pleasure circuitry driven by dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. Urgency can trigger that. Checking off tasks, even unimportant ones, gives us a little dopamine hit.
So we might actually seek out urgency or create it.
Absolutely. We might create a false sense of urgency around things or joyfully check off a bunch of easy, unimportant tasks just to feel productive. It gives us that hit, that sense of accomplishment, without actually asking if the task even mattered.
That's a sure recipe to end up in Q3, as the book says.
Yeah.
And it helps us avoid confronting how we're really spending our time.
Yeah, Brene Brown has that great quote, "We are a culture of people who've bought into the idea that if we stay busy enough, the truth of our lives won't catch up with us." Urgency addiction feeds right into that.
Yeah, and that leads to the whole culture of busyness, doesn't it? It's like busyness itself has become a status symbol.
It really has. It's become social and psychological shorthand to communicate our worth. Think about the common exchange. How are you? Oh, totally busy. Swamped. How about you?
Me too. Crazy busy. We almost validate each other's overwhelmed state. It's like, I'm stressed out, therefore I am.
Right. And the problem isn't being busy with important things. The problem is when busyness rather than accomplishment becomes the goal. We measure our worth by activity, not impact.
So what are some specific examples of these self-imposed Q1 or Q3 activities we fall into?
Well, there's the classic, I do my best work under pressure.
Yes, the procrastinator's mantra.
Exactly. Often, this just means we rely on that external, adrenalizing sense of urgency rather than tapping into our own internal motivation. We create this false crisis mode.
And the truth is, we rarely do our best work under pressure. We just get it done, usually with more stress.
Right. Think of the stat they mentioned. 41% of U.S. taxpayers wait until the last 4 weeks to file their returns. That turns a perfectly manageable Q2 activity planning and filing taxes into a very stressful Q1 scramble.
Okay, what else?
And then there's the trap of becoming accommodators. We want to be helpful, right? We like helping people.
Sure, it feels good.
It does. It gives you that dopamine hit again. But sometimes, in our desire to be helpful, we inadvertently create dependency and end up doing other people's work.
Like the Steve example in the book, the guy who keeps emailing out policies from the shared drive because it's easier for others than for them to look it up themselves.
Exactly. Steve feels helpful, gets that little reward, but he's spending significant time on other people's responsibilities. That's pure Q3 for him. A better Q2 approach would be, hey, let me show you how to find that so you'll be able to get it easily next time.
Empowering others instead of enabling dependency keeps responsibility where it belongs.
Right. And finally, a huge one for many people, being afraid to say no.
Oh yeah, that's tough.
It really is. And it often lands us squarely in Q3 or even creates unnecessary Q1s. Why do we do it? Fear of looking weak, maybe? A desire to please others? Fear of conflict or isolation? Or sometimes just a lack of mental energy to push back.
Those are all reactive brain responses, aren't they? Driven by emotion and instinct rather than thoughtful choice.
Totally. The book suggests we can make it easier on ourselves by having our own house in order knowing our own priorities and then practicing some professional, courteous ways to decline or negotiate.
Like what? Give us some examples.
Things like, I'm actually working on something really important right now, but I could potentially have time in about 2 hours. Does that work for you, or is there another time that might suit?
So you're not just saying no, you're offering an alternative.
Exactly. Or, thanks for the invite, but tonight is actually date night, so I won't be able to make it. Let's brainstorm some other options for connecting, though. Or even directly addressing a recurring issue. I'm finding that I'm not really needed in that weekly meeting. Would it be okay if I dropped off the invite list?
Those take a bit of courage, maybe, but they sound professional.
They do, and the book suggests practicing them, maybe even in a mirror, just to build your confidence in saying them. You can also clarify communication norms, like, can we clarify our expectations around email and texting response times?
That's proactive. It's also worth touching on Q4 again, the quadrant of waste. It's not always obvious when we slip into it, is it?
No, it can be sneaky. What starts as legitimate Q2 renewal, like relaxing with a favorite TV show, can quickly slide into Q4 if we're not mindful.
Like that woman in the book who was so burned out after weeks of travel, she just zoned out on the couch for hours, neglecting relationships, only snapping out of it when her dog gave her that, "Why are you ignoring me?"
Yeah. Exactly. It highlights the need for internal dialogue. Asking ourselves, is this activity really renewing me? Is it adding to or draining my energy? Have I kind of lost track of time and stayed in this activity too long? Is this nourishing important relationships or actually taking away from them?
Self-awareness is key. Okay, so if Q2 is the goal, what's the essential skill for consistently getting there?
It boils down to the pause, clarify, decide, PCD process. This is the vital process, the authors say, to interrupt your reactive brain. Take a moment to clarify the incoming demand, and then consciously decide if it's worth your time, attention, and energy right now.
It's basically the simple act of asking yourself, is this important?
Fundamentally, yes. And the amazing thing is we already do this constantly in other areas of life. We pause, clarify options, and decide what to eat for lunch or which way to turn the car. The skill is applying that same discernment consciously to the relentless flow of information and demands in our work and lives.
And the time matrix is the tool that helps us clarify.
Exactly. It gives you the framework. You can ask clarifying questions, either of yourself or others. When does this really need to be done? What's the actual impact if this doesn't happen today? How will this contribute to the main project we're working on? Is there another resource or maybe a different method for getting this done?
Asking those questions actively engages our thinking brain, right? Pulls us out of reactive mode.
Absolutely. It significantly improves our ability to discern Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4.
Now, what if your boss or your team isn't really operating this way? Can you still create a Q2 culture just for yourself?
Yes, absolutely. Even if your whole organization doesn't have a Q2 focus, you can definitely create one around yourself. You can share the time matrix concept with your immediate team or colleagues. You can start using the language Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, PCD. Help others understand your priorities.
Like Kiva did with Carl. She didn't demand he change. She just discerned his request as a Q3 for her and skillfully redirected him to the right resource, Charisse in accounting, which allowed her to stay focused on her own big rocks.
Exactly. She changed herself and her response, which ultimately changed the outcome.
So give us some simple, practical ways listeners can get started with choice one right now.
Okay, here are a few easy ones. First, literally make a copy of the time matrix and stick it on your desk or wall where you can see it.
Visual reminder. Good idea.
Second, maybe make a little 3x5 card with 7 boxes for the days of the week. Commit to consciously using that pause, clarify, decide process at least once each day, and maybe make a note when you do.
Build the habit.
Right. Third, make a list of those clarifying questions we talked about ones you'd feel comfortable asking yourself or others and practice them, maybe even in the mirror, like we said.
Get comfortable with the language.
Fourth, post this question on a sticky note right on your computer screen. What is your return on this moment? Just a constant little nudge.
Love that. Rom. Return on moment.
Fifth, take just a couple of minutes each morning to consciously identify the 1 or 2 things that are your most important Q2 activities for that day, your top priorities.
Focuses the mind.
And finally, identify one common self-imposed Q3 distraction you fall into, maybe checking social media too often or getting pulled into gossip, and make a specific strategy to deal with it this week.
Those all sound very doable. Small steps to start rewiring that brain and reclaiming the day. We're continuing our deep dive into the 5 choices, the path to extraordinary productivity. We've covered choice 1, acting on the important, not reacting to the urgent, using discernment and the time matrix. Now we move to choice 2. Go for extraordinary, don't settle for ordinary. This sounds aspirational. What's it really about?
It is aspirational, but in a very practical way. This choice is all about defining your Q2. It's about getting really clear on what important actually means for you.
Okay, so choice 1 helps us filter. Choice 2 helps us define what we're filtering for.
Exactly. Let's revisit Jaivan, the executive from the intro. Remember, he was feeling frustrated and like he was settling for good at work. He knew he was capable of that extra quality finessing, but he just couldn't seem to get to it.
And his personal life was suffering too, right? The hope for date night had just vaporized.
Right. So this choice 2, is fundamentally about clarifying what is ultimately important to you. Not just at work, but across all the different aspects of your life, your relationships, your finances, your health, your hobbies, everything that matters to you.
Why is that so important?
Well, as brain expert Dr. Daniel Iman puts it, our brain needs direction and vision. It needs a blueprint. Without that clear picture of what extraordinary looks like for us, it's really easy to get lost.
Lost in the weeds, lost in the Q3 distractions.
Exactly. So why extraordinary for you? It's a fair question. Maybe you're thinking, I just want a normal, peaceful life, not something extraordinary.
Yeah, it can sound daunting.
But remember, extraordinary in this context doesn't mean some unattainable perfectionist standard. And it's definitely not about living up to someone else's definition of success.
So what does it mean?
It simply means figuring out what you deeply feel will create the most value in your life right now, in your current circumstances. What does best look like for you?
And the danger of not defining this.
The danger is that we get hijacked by the urgent, by the incoming demands. Choice 1. We end the day or the week or even longer with this nagging sense of unease and incompleteness. We wonder, how could I be so busy yet feel like I accomplished nothing that truly matters?
And people often try to drown out those feelings by just getting even busier, right? Stuck in that cycle.
Precisely. Without that clear blueprint of what's important to you, it's incredibly easy to lose focus and just end up settling for ordinary, for just getting by.
Okay, so how do we create this blueprint? How do we define our extraordinary?
One of the most powerful ways the book suggests is by understanding the power of roles. Our brain naturally organizes information by categories, and roles provide a really intuitive framework for organizing our lives.
So thinking about the different hats we wear.
Exactly. The idea is to identify your few most important roles. The book suggests aiming for no more than 5 to 7 maximum to keep it focused.
And these roles shouldn't just be work-related.
Definitely not. They should be meaningful to you, cover different areas of your life for balance, and this is really important. They should include a role specifically for self-care.
Like healthy person or person who cultivates joy. Something like that.
Yeah, or lifelong learner, mindful individual, whatever resonates with you. It acknowledges that taking care of yourself is a critical role for overall effectiveness and well-being. Other examples might be manager, parent, friend, volunteer, partner, creative artist, community member.
Okay, so first step, identify maybe 5, 7 key roles. What's next?
The next step is to evaluate, how are you doing in each of those roles? This isn't about beating yourself up. It's about conscious evaluation using your thinking brain.
Taking an honest look.
Exactly. Honestly assess your performance and satisfaction in each role right now. The book mentions using a visual tool called a spidergram exercise, where you can map out how balanced or maybe imbalanced your efforts and results feel across these different roles. It just brings clarity. Where's my time and energy actually going?
Got it. Identify roles, evaluate current reality, then what?
Then comes the really transformative part, making your roles extraordinary. This is where you move from just listing roles to defining what success looks like within each one.
This is where we define our Q2 for each role.
Precisely. You anchor your purpose and passion in a Q2 role title, something more inspiring than just manager or parent, and then you craft a Q2 role statement for each.
And these aren't just like fluffy mission statements.
Not at all. The authors emphasize that this is deeply rooted in brain science. These statements provide solid mental and emotional foundations that actively guide your daily choices and help you stay focused on Q2 activities. They give your brain that blueprint it needs.
Okay. Is there a structure for these statements?
Yes, they offer a helpful formula. As I see your inspiring Q2 role title, I will describe the extraordinary outcomes or impact you want by listing key Q2 activities or behaviors.
Okay, give us an example. How did Javon use this?
Right, Javon. Instead of just husband, he chose the Q2 role title, Kalisha's best friend. Much more evocative, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And his statement was, as I, Kalisha's best friend, I will create an enduring relationship of trust, safety, and mutual discovery by actively sharing her goals and dreams, spending quality time together, and earning her complete confidence in all my activities and interactions with others.
Wow. You can see how that would lead to very different decisions about his time and energy compared to just having husband written down.
Yeah.
That clearly took some real thought.
Absolutely. It engaged his prefrontal cortex, that executive function part of his brain, to define what truly mattered in that role.
What about Kiva? Maybe a work example.
Sure. Instead of just project leader, maybe she defines her role as boundary-pushing team builder. Her statement could be, as I, a boundary-pushing team builder, I will build a team that pushes the boundaries of what is possible by looking for places where clear processes and better technologies can unleash the creativity of our team to do more compelling work for our clients.
Again, much clearer direction for where to focus her Q2 energy.
Exactly. And the key is that these statements are meant to be living, breathing documents of our lives today. They're not meant to be written once and then filed away.
You need to engage with them.
Yes. Get excited by them, tweak them, make them real. The more you connect with them, the more your brain will have the clarity it needs to make those discerning choices day to day. But it does require setting aside some reflective time, Q2 time, to quiet that noisy reactive brain and really engage your thinking brain.
That makes sense. Now, you mentioned earlier about making sure these definitions are our own. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, this is crucial. It's about making sure roles are truly your own, not just adopting someone else's expectations. The book shares Michaela's story, which I think is really relatable, especially regarding her mom role.
What happened with her?
Well, she grew up with a mom she described as nearly perfect, who was always at home, kept an immaculate house, etc. Without even realizing it, Michaela was subconsciously laying over her own life a set of expectations from an entirely different set of circumstances.
So she was comparing herself as a working mom to her stay-at-home mom.
Exactly. And it was causing immense stress and guilt. She felt like her house was always a mess, like her 5-year-old barely knew her because she wasn't living up to that internalized, unrealistic image.
What was her breakthrough?
Her aha moment came when she consciously asked herself that question. What does extraordinary look like in my circumstances with my daughter and my realities? She realized that maybe a perfectly clean house wasn't her top priority right now. Maybe extraordinary for her meant specific quality time activities or something else entirely.
Letting go of someone else's definition must have been liberating.
Huge. It brought her immediate relief and hope. It allowed her to define success on her own terms. This is especially relevant, the book notes, for many people, particularly women, who often experience role overload and grapple with that myth that you can have everything.
Right. The truth is more like you can have time for the things that are most important to you if you get clear on what those are.
Precisely. And defining these roles clearly also helps immensely in creating balance among your roles in an always-on world. Technology, as we know, has created this open portal into our lives. We're accessible 24/7.
So the only boundaries that exist are the ones we create.
Exactly. And having these clear Q2 role definitions is incredibly liberating because they give you the foundation to set those boundaries. They allow your best thinking about trade-offs and priorities to happen.
Okay, so we have inspiring role titles and clear role statements. What's the next practical step?
The next step is setting concrete Q2 goals that derive from those roles and statements. These goals need to be concrete, actionable, and measurable.
SMART goals, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. The book suggests a very simple formula, from X to Y by when.
Nice and simple? Examples.
Like, reduce my weight from 230 pounds to 180 pounds by June 17. Or, for Kiva's role, maybe increase team's client satisfaction score from 7.5 to 9.0 by December 31. Or for Jaivan, schedule and have meaningful date nights with Kalusha from once a month to once a week by the end of next month.
They're specific and time-bound.
Yes. And the key is not to pick too many goals, maybe 3 really impactful ones to start, and ensure they tie strongly to the vision and passion you articulated in your Q2 role statements. They should feel motivating.
Because this whole process isn't just about tasks, it's about motivation.
Absolutely. It's about tapping into deeper motivation. Your roles, defined this way, embrace your most significant relationships, your most profound joys, and your highest contributions and aspirations. They connect to your heart and spirit, not just your head.
As Daniel Pink says, we rarely discuss the why. This process helps you find that why.
Exactly. Spending that Q2 time clarifying your roles and goals helps you tap into these deeper wells of motivation and high performance. It gives you the fuel to make those Q2 choices consistently.
Okay, great. So quick recap on how listeners can get started with Choice 2.
Sure. First, gain clarity. Identify your most important roles, 5 to 7 max, and maybe put them on a life wheel visual. Second, evaluate. Complete that spidergram exercise or just honestly reflect on where you stand now in relation to those roles. Third, define extraordinary. Anchor your purpose with an inspiring Q2 role title and then craft a Q2 role statement for each important role using that formula. Fourth, set goals. Based on those statements, set maybe 3 concrete Q2 goals from X to Y by when that will have the most impact.
And
Finally, share them. Share your Q2 role statements and goals with someone who will support you, a partner, a friend, a mentor, a coach. Accountability helps make it real.
we're back on the deep dive, digging into the 5 choices. We've covered discerning the important, Choice 1, and defining what's extraordinary for you, Choice 2. Now we hit Choice 3. Schedule the big rocks. Don't sort gravel. This sounds very practical. What's the core idea?
It is very practical. This choice is all about attention management, specifically through planning, and it starts with that classic powerful digital analogy, the bucket and the rocks.
The rocks, pebbles, and sand story.
Exactly. Imagine your life where your time is a bucket. If you fill it up first with gravel, all the little trivial, urgent, but not important stuff, and then try to cram in the big rocks, your truly important priorities.
It's impossible. They won't fit.
Right. But if you put the big rocks in the bucket first, then the gravel and sand can just naturally fill in the gaps around them. The question is, which image makes you feel more accomplished at the end of the day? The bucket overflowing with gravel, or the one with the big rocks securely in place?
Definitely the one with the big rocks.
So the key mental shift here is realizing that you can never get ahead by just sorting through the gravel faster. That's a losing game in today's world.
Trying to manage the overwhelming influx just by being faster at it.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Instead, once you've used choice 1 to discern what's important, and choice 2 to define your extraordinary, your big rocks, you must proactively schedule your precious attention and energy on those things first. Put the big rocks in the bucket first.
And that means consciously letting go of a lot of the little things. Accepting that you can't do it all.
Absolutely. Recognizing that many of those little things that gravel are just self-imposed Q3 distractions anyway. They don't really matter.
Okay, so scheduling the big rocks first. How do we do that effectively? Is there a tool needed before we start planning?
Yes, there's a critical pre-planning tool the book emphasizes, the Master Task List, MTL.
A master task list. Why is that so important?
Well, think about how most people operate now.
Damn.
Multiple lists, right? Sticky notes, random scraps of paper, tasks in email, maybe a digital list here, another one there.
Chaos. Which quadrant is that in? Definitely not Q2.
Exactly. The MTL is designed to be a vital tool to combat that chaos and keep your attention focused on Q2. Its core purpose is simple. Keep things in a single, trustworthy tracking system so that you can get them out of your brain and stop worrying about them.
Freeing up mental bandwidth.
Precisely. The basic rule for the MTL is when something comes up that you might need to do, it goes either on the floor or on the list, but not in your head.
On the floor meaning?
Meaning you use your discernment, choice 1, right away. If it's not important, just discard it immediately. Don't even let it clutter your list. If it might be important, put it on the list. But don't just carry it around mentally.
And you need to be discerning about what goes on the list too, right? Not just dump everything there.
Absolutely. You need to constantly ask yourself, is this really important or was it just urgent in the moment? What seemed important when you wrote it down might not be later. Also ask, am I writing down a Q3 here? Am I volunteering to take care of someone else's responsibility when I don't really have to? Am I writing down this Q1 fire for the 5th time because I'm not finding a Q2 way to prevent it?
So the MPL isn't just a brain dump. It's a filtered list.
It shouldn't become a gravel collector. Every item you consciously decide not to put on the list or to delete later is a positive choice to keep your focus clear for the big rocks. Without a system like this, you get those sleepless nights, that constant low-level pressure of knowing things might be falling through the cracks, and it eats up your working memory needed for important thinking.
Okay, got the MTL. Now for the planning itself. The book makes a specific promise here, doesn't it?
It does. They call it the 30-10 promise, and the promise is this. If you spend 30 minutes each week and 10 minutes each day in Q2 planning, you will dramatically increase your ability to be and feel accomplished.
30 minutes a week, 10 minutes a day. That doesn't sound like a huge amount of time.
It's not, but the impact is massive. They quote researcher Heidi Halvorsen, who found that this kind of specific planning increases success rates on average between 200% to 300%.
Wow. 200, 300% increase. That's an incredible return on investment for, what, less than an hour and a half a week total?
Exactly. It's pure Q2 leverage.
So why 30 minutes for the weekly planning specifically? Why not just do it daily?
Good question. They argue that it takes a bit of time to really get into that zone, to shift fully from your reactive brain, which is always pulled towards scheduling the urgent stuff, into your thinking brain. That 30 minutes allows you to reduce the noise, get centered, and plan from a more thoughtful, strategic state.
Like finding stillness to gain clarity.
Precisely. They quote the Buddhist monk Tenzin Priyadarshi again. If there is no stillness, there is no silence. If there is no silence, there is no insight. If there is no clarity. That dedicated weekly session provides the space for that insight and clarity about your big rocks.
And part of that planning involves setting up specific time blocks.
Yes, a really high-value practice is creating Q2 time zones. These are essentially proactively scheduled blocks of time that help you protect your Q2 priorities. Think of them as appointments with yourself for your most important work.
Can they be recurring?
Absolutely. They can be recurring, like blocking out 90 minutes every Tuesday morning for strategic thinking, or one-time events, like scheduling 2 hours next Thursday to work on a specific project proposal.
Give us some examples from the book.
Kiva, knowing the health benefits, which we'll get to in choice 5, actually blocked 6:30 to 7:30 a.m. every day in her calendar for yoga. And the research showed just scheduling it like that increased her success rate for actually doing it from only 32% to an amazing 91%.
Wow, just putting it on the calendar made that much difference.
Huge difference. Jaivan might block the first hour of his day for his best focused thinking before the emails start flooding in. Sherry might schedule recurring Friday date nights as a Q2 time zone for her relationship role. Brad, an executive, looks months ahead on his calendar to proactively block time needed for big projects or critical travel versus personal vacation time, preventing those last-minute Q1 scrambles.
So you're literally scheduling your priorities. Okay, walk us through the 3 steps for that weekly Q2 planning session.
Okay, the 30-minute weekly review has 3 core steps. 1, connect with your Q2 roles and goals. Remember those roles and goals you defined in choice 2. You start by reviewing them. Regularly looking at them keeps your vision literally top of mind, active in your prefrontal cortex. This primes your brain to recognize what truly matters for the week ahead.
Keeps the blueprint visible.
Exactly. Step 2, schedule the big rocks. Now you look at your master task list, filtered through the lens of your roles and goals, and you ask yourself the crucial big rocks question for each role. What are the 1 or 2 most important things I can do in this role this week?
Just 1 or 2 per role.
Yeah, keep it realistic. These answers might come from your list, or they might emerge from reflection, your gut and mind, as the book says. Maybe it's preparing for a key meeting, having an important conversation, or making progress on a major project. Some big rocks are obvious tasks. Others are about relationships or strategic thinking. You might even add things that weren't originally on your MTL, but emerge as critical during this review.
And the key is to schedule them.
Yes. Critically, you don't just make a list of these big rocks, you schedule specific appointments for them in your calendar, creating those Q2 time zones. Putting it on the calendar represents a higher level commitment and dramatically increases the likelihood you'll actually do it.
Got it. Connect, schedule the big rocks. Step 3.
Step 3 is organize the rest. Now that your big rocks are firmly placed in your calendar for the week, you can then fill in other important appointments and tasks around them. Even some of the gravel, like scheduling time for errands or routine tasks, fits in here, but only after the rocks are in place.
So you end up with a week that visually represents the productive bucket rocks first, gravel filling the gaps rather than the chaotic gravel-filled one.
Precisely. Contrast Kiva's typical gravel-filled week driven by incoming demands with her potential Q2 planned week, where her priorities dictate her schedule. It's a world of difference in feeling control and achieving meaningful results.
Okay, that's the weekly plan. But things change, right? Fires happen.
Yeah.
What about daily adjustments?
Absolutely. Life rarely, if ever, goes according to plan. That's why daily Q2 planning is essential. You need to consciously and intentionally adjust each day.
And this is the 10-minute part of the promise.
Yes. Take at least 10 minutes, either at the end of the current day to prepare for tomorrow, or first thing the next morning to do 3 things. 1, close out the day. Review today's tasks. What got done? Reschedule anything important that didn't. Delete things that are no longer relevant. And critically, capture the gold. Any important information, insights, new tasks, or follow-ups that came up during the day, get them into your system. MTL, notes, etc.
Tidy up and capture learnings.
Exactly. 2, identify the few must-dos for tomorrow. Look at your plan. Recommit to your scheduled big rocks for the day and incorporate any urgent Q1s that have inevitably popped up and genuinely need handling. Keep this list very short, just the absolute essentials.
Focus on the vital few.
Right. And 3, organize the rest. Schedule or list out other tasks and appointments around those must-dos.
End of day versus morning planning. Any pros or cons?
The book suggests its personal preference. People who plan at the end of the day often feel they can relax better and sleep more clearly because tomorrow is mentally organized. Those who plan first thing in the morning do so with a fresh mind. The main thing is to do it before you get swept away. The danger is just diving headfirst into the flow of incoming gravel without that moment of conscious planning.
Makes sense. And doing this consistently, this Q2 planning, it actually changes how you think throughout the day.
Yes, that's the idea of cultivating a Q2 mindset, which they call thinking in the shower. You know how your best, most creative ideas often pop into your head when you're relaxed, maybe taking a walk or, yes, in the shower, not actively trying to force it?
Yeah, definitely.
That's often your brain, properly fueled and less stressed, making connections. Regular Q2 planning helps rewire your brain, as we learned in Choice 1, to operate more consistently from this state. It cultivates a centered Q2 mindset that you carry with you throughout the day.
So you're better equipped to handle the unexpected.
Exactly. It enables you to respond more quickly and calmly to unanticipated changes because you have that solid foundation of your priorities. It's like that Zen master quote again, I never leave my place of meditation. By regularly connecting with your deeper priorities through planning, you carry that solid sense of perspective with you. You can be the calm in the midst of the storm.
Powerful idea. Okay, quick practical steps to get started with Choice 3.
Sure. First, set up that master task list, paper or digital, and practice the on the floor or on the list rule at least 3 times today. Consciously decide where incoming stuff goes. Second, identify 1 or 2 repeating patterns in your life or work that cause stress or inefficiency, and see if you can set them up and manage them better as recurring Q2 time zones in your calendar.
Like blocking time for email only twice a day, maybe?
Perfect example. And third, crucially, decide when and where you will do your 30-minute weekly and 10-minute daily Q2 planning. Then, treat those times like important appointments, schedule them as recurring Q2 time zones on your calendar, and protect them.
All right, let's dive into the tech side of things with Choice 4. Rule your technology, don't let it rule you. This feels like a big one for most people. It's the second part of attention management, focusing on the tools.
It really is huge. Remember earlier we mentioned Herman Kahn's optimistic 1960s prediction that technology would lead to unprecedented productivity and leisure.
Yeah, didn't quite pan out that way for everyone, did it?
Not exactly, because paradoxically, while technology can boost productivity, it can also, as the book puts it, amp up the addictive power of urgency tenfold. They even compare the constant checking of email or notifications to smoking crack cocaine in terms of its effect on our brain chemistry.
Wow, that's strong language. Why?
Because it provides such immediate responsiveness. That ping, that notification, the ability to instantly reply it triggers a little dopamine hit, that reward chemical. It makes us feel productive and important.
So we get caught up in responding to texts, emails, social media pings, thinking we're being effective.
When in fact we are really only being distracted.
Exactly. And the cost, the authors argue, is that we end up missing the really important things like building strong relationships, collaborating on important problems, or doing some thoughtful and focused work.
A Q2 stuff.
Right. Those crucial activities are often less stimulating to our reactive brains than the buzz of a smartphone, but they are far more important in the long run for genuine accomplishment and fulfillment. The book gives some pretty vivid examples of this tech overload, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. There's the jarring image of that family at their child's ballet performance. 3 out of the 4 family members just buried in their devices, even lowering the screen brightness so they could keep playing or browsing, completely ignoring the actual performance until someone literally asked them to turn their devices off.
Ouch. That's sad.
It really is. Or Dr. Ed Hallowell, the ADD specialist, observing how people compulsively reaching for their email like it was a package of cigarettes. It becomes an addiction.
And the impact on kids.
Catherine Steiner Adair's research is highlighted, showing how deeply children need their parents' time and attention. Young kids often feel lonely and depressed because they feel like they're constantly competing with devices for their parents' love and focus.
That's heartbreaking.
It is, though there are positive examples too. Like the manager and her husband who consciously started putting their phones in a basket by the door when they got home, trying to model better behavior for their 4-year-old daughter.
And what happened?
Later, they found their daughter's little iPod in the basket too, which is great modeling. But the book also raises the dark side question. Was the child doing that because she was craving her parents' attention and had figured out where it was going? Food for thought.
Definitely. And then there's the social example, the friends at dinner putting their phones in a basket.
Yeah. The rule being the first one to grab their phone before the bill comes has to pay for everyone. A fun social accountability system to encourage actual face-to-face interaction.
All these examples really drive home the question, who's in charge here, you or your tech?
Exactly. And you can use the time matrix we discussed to assess your own tech behaviors. Are they mostly Q1, Q2, genuinely necessary or important, or Q3, Q4, distractions or waste? The core message isn't anti-technology. It's that technology is not the problem. It is how conscious and deliberate we are about how we use it. We have the choice to use these powerful tools wisely.
But it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking the next app or the perfect tool will solve everything, isn't it?
So easy. which is why the book emphasizes swordlessness and the first principle, mind over machine. You cannot outsource your fundamental human right and ability to make wise choices to an app or a device. No tool can replace your own discerning mind.
So what's the first principle?
It comes from a legendary Japanese swordmaster, Yagyu Munenori. His first principle was, be independent in every possible way and to keep your presence of mind in all circumstances.
Maintain your conscious awareness, regardless of the tools.
Exactly. And swordlessness is the idea of using all tools freely, effectively, but without attachment to any single one. Tools change constantly, but that first principle of conscious choice does not.
They illustrate this with a fable, right?
Yeah.
The broken sword.
Yeah, it's a great little story. A battle is raging. One discouraged soldier finds only a broken sword and just gives up, wishing for a perfect shining sword of gold. But then the emperor himself picks up the exact same broken sword, uses it jubilantly and skillfully, and wins the battle.
The tool wasn't the deciding factor. The mindset was.
Precisely. The message for us is, the battle for our attention is real, especially with modern tech. But your mindset, your conscious choices, are ultimately more powerful than any specific tool or app. It reminds me of Sun Tzu again. The supreme art is to subdue the enemy without fighting. Sometimes the best way to win the tech battle is to set up your systems so you don't have to constantly fight distractions.
Okay, so how do we prepare for this battle? Where do we start organizing the chaos of incoming information?
Right. If you're like most people, information, emails, texts, calls, notes, files, feels like it's coming at you from a million directions. It feels overwhelming. But the first step is to bring order to this chaos by learning to see the fundamental categories within it. This leads to the core four.
The core four, what are they?
The authors argue that almost all the information we need to manage falls into four fundamental categories: appointments, tasks, contacts, and notes documents. The very first step towards taking control is learning to instantly see incoming information in terms of these four categories.
Okay, appointments, tasks, contacts, notes documents. How should we manage them? Paper or electronic?
The book discusses both paper-based versus electronic systems. Paper systems have pros. Everything's often in one physical planner. It's portable, tangible, no batteries needed. But the cons are significant today. It's not connected, no easy backup, hard to transpose digital info coming in constantly. They do suggest keeping personal reflective notes in one physical notebook can be powerful, though.
And electronic systems.
Pros are obvious. Info at the touch of a button, easy digital filing, searchability, security, instant backup, easy sharing. But the big con, it's incredibly easy to get buried under the gravel of the digital incoming if you're not super conscious about it. Tech can accelerate the information flow and create a digital wasteland of unmanaged stuff.
So if you go electronic, what's the key principle?
The ideal is the rule of one, meaning each one of the core four categories should ideally have a single system that syncs across all of your devices.
One calendar for all appointments, one master task list, one contact system, one place for note stocks?
Ideally, yes. They give Martin's example. Maybe he uses Google Calendar for all appointments, synced everywhere, a dedicated task service like Todoist or Asana for his MTL, cloud storage like Dropbox or Google Drive for notes documents, and his phone's compact system may be categorized for work personal. Everything talks to everything, accessible anywhere.
What if your work dictates certain systems, like you have to use Outlook Exchange?
You adapt. Maybe you use Exchange for work appointments and tasks, but a separate cloud service for personal stuff. The key is clarity. If you can integrate, great. If you must keep work and personal separate due to IT policy, you can often mark personal data as private within the work system, or maintain two independent sets of core four systems, but with the absolute rule. Never, ever can those two systems commingle. Keep the streams separate if necessary.
Makes sense. Choose reliable cloud services too, I imagine.
Good point. Choose services from companies that have been around for a while and are likely to stick around.
Can you give an example of someone improving their core four?
Sure, Sherry's transformation is a good one. She started with a paper personal calendar and a separate corporate work calendar recipe for double booking, plus scattered notes everywhere.
Sounds familiar. How did she fix it?
She moved her personal calendar to an online service that could sync or display alongside her work one, giving her an integrated view. She adopted an online task service for a single, unified MTL. She unified her contacts. She actually kept using paper for her personal notes, which worked for her. The result: a much more integrated system where critical information is always available for all the roles of her life, no more falling through the cracks.
So once you have this Core 4 system set up, how does it help you get to Q2 day to day?
It makes processing the incoming flow much faster and more effective. When something comes in email, call, idea, you first apply. Choice 1, discernment. Is this important? If it's unimportant or relevant, you just delete it or ignore it immediately. Floor it.
Okay. If it is important, Q1 and Q2.
If it's important, then it gets processed immediately into your Core 4 system. Is it an appointment? Straight onto the calendar, a task you need to do. Onto the MTL. Reference information. File it in your notes doc system or contacts. Then, crucially, you can often delete or archive the original trigger, like the email.
So the incoming item is dealt with, and the necessary action or info is captured in the right place in your trusted system.
Exactly. This ensures your Core 4 is always organized and ready to support your weekly and daily Q2 planning sessions. Choice 3. You're planning from an organized foundation, not a chaotic mess.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the book talks about the 3 master moves for leveraging technology. What are these? Like power moves?
Sort of. They're described as fundamental moves or concepts that follow the 80-20 rule. They give disproportionately great results for the effort involved. Think Miyamoto Musashi's idea. From one thing, no 10,000 things. These are foundational principles.
Okay, master move 1.
Master move 1. Win without fighting. Remember, Sensei.
The goal here is to confidently automate as many of these incoming decisions as possible so you don't even have to engage with the unimportant stuff.
How do you do that?
Primarily with email, which is a huge source of incoming for most people. You need to master the rules or filter functions of your email program, like Outlook rules or Gmail filters.
Give examples.
You can set up rules to automatically delete junk or spam before it hits your inbox. You can automatically file emails where you're just CC'd into a read later folder. You can highlight emails from critical people, your boss, your spouse. You can auto-file reference documents like newsletters or reports into specific folders. You can even set up auto-replies for when you're focusing or out of office.
The idea is to significantly reduce the volume hitting your main inbox that requires manual sorting. Exactly. They estimate if you get 100 emails a day and spend just 15 seconds sorting each, that's 25 minutes per day just sorting. Rules can reclaim a huge chunk of that time. This helps achieve inbox zero, not literally zero emails, but zero decisions left lingering in the inbox. Everything is processed or filed.
And don't constantly check email.
Right. Pull, don't push. Turn off notifications. Check email intentionally during scheduled Q2 time zones when you're ready, not every time it demands your attention. The ROI on setting up rules is incredibly fast payback in maybe 1-2 weeks. Just keep them current. It's like that wise samurai fable again, the master avoids the fight on the ferry by choosing a better battlefield, the island. You're setting up your email environment so you avoid unnecessary battles for your attention.
Okay, win without fighting. Master move 2.
Master move 2. Turn it into what it is. Once something does land in your inbox or voicemail or wherever, and you've decided it's important, Q1 or Q2, this move is about processing it efficiently to eliminate any additional Q3s and Q4s that arise from just letting it sit there. Email especially can increase stress. Studies show it affects blood pressure, heart rate, cortisol levels. Letting unprocessed stuff pile up adds to that stress.
So the rule is touch it once.
That's the ideal, yes. Process it fully the first time you read it. Let's use Jamie's email example from the book. He gets an email asking him to 1. Review an attached document with his team. 2. Get feedback back by the end of next week. 3. Schedule a meeting to discuss. And 4. It's from a new contact.
Okay, lots going on there. How does he apply Master Move 2?
He immediately identifies each part as a Core 4 element. The deadline is an appointment or maybe a task due date. The review itself is a task. The need to schedule a meeting is another task, or maybe he schedules the appointment right away. The new person is a contact. The attached document is notes documents.
He breaks it down. Then what?
Then he immediately converts each part into the appropriate system. He adds the deadline to his calendar. He puts review Brazil, Argentina numbers with team onto his master task list, starting with an action verb. He adds the new person to his contacts. He saves the document to his cloud storage note system. Only then does he delete or archive the original email.
The email itself is no longer needed because everything actionable or referenceable has been extracted into his trusted Core 4 system.
Exactly. It clears the inbox clutter and populates his organized system, which fuels his Q2 planning. The general guideline is the 5-second rule. If you can respond or deal with it completely in just a few seconds, do it immediately. Otherwise, turn it into Core 4 elements and get it out of the inbox.
You can optimize this too, right? Encourage others to send meeting invites directly. Put your own ideas straight into your task list.
Absolutely. Train people to send calendar invites, capture your own ideas, trip planning, recipes, book ideas directly into your MTL or notes system. Don't email them to yourself.
Okay, makes sense. Master move 3.
Master move 3. Link to locate. This one is designed to eliminate that frustrating, time-wasting scramble, a self-imposed Q1 of trying to find all the related resources you need for an upcoming meeting or task.
We've all been there. Hunting through emails, folders.
Right. The paradigm shift here is to proactively connect your related resources among the core 4 ahead of time, usually when you're scheduling the appointment or task.
How do you do that?
Various ways, depending on your tools. You can insert actual files into calendar appointments or tasks. You can use hyperlinks if documents are stored online. You can even use simple text-based links in the notes field.
Give an example.
John has a big marketing meeting coming up. When he puts the meeting in his calendar, he uses Master Move 3 to link directly to the relevant reports stored on the shared drive. He might insert hyperlinks, or even just type a text note like marketing file quarterly reports, market pricing report in the appointment details if the file's physical or easily found via that path.
So when the meeting pops up, all the links or pointers to the info he needs are right there. No hunting required.
Exactly. Other examples. Attaching the agenda and pre-reading documents directly to a group meeting invite when you send it. Creating a parallel personal appointment on your calendar that mirrors a group meeting, just so you have a place to link your private notes or related documents. Linking a task on your MTL to a specific note containing background info.
And you can use tags, too.
Yes. Many modern apps allow tagging. You could tag everything related to specific project appointments, tasks, notes, contacts with something like #ProjectX. Then a quick search for that tag pulls everything together instantly. This really gets back to swordlessness, understanding the principle of linking related information regardless of the specific tool's features.
Okay, those 3 master moves sound powerful. What if someone's inbox is just a complete disaster right now? Thousands of emails. Is there hope?
Yes, there's hope. The book offers a pragmatic inbox detox plan for the seriously buried. Step 1. Just archive the oldest 50% of your inbox. Don't even look at them. Move them to an archive folder. If it was truly critical, someone will follow up. Step 2. Look at the next chunk, maybe the next oldest 300 messages. Immediately delete them. Be ruthless. Step 3. Now you're left with a more manageable number. Maybe 200 items. Review these remaining ones and apply the touch it once principle using Master Move 2. Either delete it, create an email rule for similar future messages, turn it into core 4 elements, appointment, task, contact, note, or respond immediately if it takes a minute or less.
The goal isn't to do all the work in those emails right then, just to process them out of the inbox and into the right place in your system.
Exactly. It's about organizing where they go, clearing the deck so you can start fresh with your Q2 planning.
Beyond individual inbox management, what about team communication? Can we establish norms?
Yes, definitely. To win the broader email battle, the book advocates for establishing Q2 email protocols, essentially creating a Team Q2 email manifesto. Leaders really have an obligation to drive this, but anyone can work within their circle of influence to suggest and model better practices.
What kind of protocols are we talking about?
Things like consciously decide if an email really needs to be sent, or if a quick call or chat is better. Use clear subject lines, maybe even with Q1 or Q2 tags for urgency importance. Hit reply all only when absolutely necessary, a big one. Agree to pick up the phone or talk in person after maybe 2 or 3 back and forth replies on a complex issue. Establish clear expected response times for different types of communication.
This could extend to managing expectations around off-hours communication, too.
Absolutely. Clarifying whether people are expected to respond to late-night emails, like the executive mentioned who explicitly tells her team to ignore her late emails unless she puts Q1 in the subject line, signaling genuine urgency. Setting those boundaries is key for Q2 living.
Okay, one last thing on tech. Apps. There are millions of them. How do we choose?
Right. Q2 productivity accelerators. Apps. The fact that there are so many inexpensive or free high-quality apps for almost anything is both great news and potentially bad news.
Why bad news?
Because it dramatically lowers the threshold for interruption and distraction. It's so easy to download another shiny app that promises productivity but just ends up being another time sink.
So you need to apply that time matrix lens again.
Exactly. Before adopting a new app, ask yourself, is this genuinely going to make me more productive in a Q2 sense? Saving time, money on important things, helping achieve key goals? Or is it just adding another potential private set of distractions to manage? Be discerning.
Ultimately, it comes back to mindset, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Not just the tools.
Always. As the book concludes this section, mastering the skills of any martial art takes time, effort, practice. Using technology wisely is a skill. The Q2 process map, using the time matrix core 4 master moves, helps you eliminate the unnecessary incoming and protect the big rocks. But the most important asset is always a calm and undisturbed state of mind. It's about strengthening your ability to transcend your natural impulse to respond to every beep and buzz.
Strengthening that Q2 mindset. Like E.G. Yoshikawa said, a serious student is more concerned with training his mind and disciplining his spirit than with developing martial skills.
Beautifully put. It's about inner discipline first, tool second.
Okay, quick practical steps for choice 4.
Right. 1, set up your core 4 system, paper or electronic, rule of 1 if possible. 2, set up email rules filters to automatically handle at least 30% of your incoming email. 3, practice master move 2. Turn it into what it is. At least 5 times today, process things fully out of your inbox. 4, use master move 3, link to locate. At least 3 times today, connect related info proactively. 5, look at the email protocol ideas in the book's Appendix A, or just think about your team's pain points and pick 2 or 3 protocols to try implementing, starting with yourself or suggesting to your team.
We've arrived at the final choice in our deep dive into the 5 choices, and it might be the most foundational. Choice 5, fuel your fire, don't burn out. This is all about energy management.
Absolutely foundational. Because without energy, none of the other choices really matter, do they? You can have the best plans and systems, but if you're exhausted, you can't execute them.
So true. The book starts this section with Marianne's story, right? The high-level executive who was struggling.
Yeah, it's a powerful story. Marianne found herself in a really bad place. She was experiencing constant pain. Her brain felt foggy all day. She was losing confidence, forgetting important information, and was genuinely afraid she'd be fired. She was, as the book says, completely running on fumes.
What was her turning point?
Her daughter, who happened to be studying nutrition and exercise science, recognized the signs of burnout and suggested some specific brain-healthy foods and exercise patterns. Marianne was skeptical but desperate, so she tried it. Within a year, by consciously changing her habits around diet, sleep, and exercise, she felt like a different person, younger, sharper, and more energized. She regained her confidence and became an even more dynamic leader.
It really highlights that core truth.
Yeah.
Your brain is your #1 asset. It's the tool you need to optimize for knowledge work.
Exactly. All the previous choices we discussed, making better decisions, choice 1 and 2, managing your attention, choice 3 and 4, they all demand extraordinary brain power.
And that brain power isn't free, is it? It has a biological cost.
Not at all. Even though our brain is only about 2% of our body weight, it consumes roughly 20% of our total energy. When we're stressed, doing difficult mental tasks, our brain releases hormones like cortisol, which affects our mood, our feelings, and directly taxes our ability to think clearly.
So consciously fueling your brain, providing it with the oxygen and steady glucose it needs, isn't just a nice to have, it's arguably the most important Q2 activity you can do.
Absolutely. Yet, tragically, in today's always-on, push-harder culture, it's often the very last thing on our list, which leads directly to this personal energy crisis we talked about earlier.
Burnout.
Yeah, our modern way of life, the constant stress, often poor diet, lack of adequate sleep and exercise, creates what scientists call exhaustion syndrome, or simply burnout. We get caught in this cycle, work like crazy, then crash. We postpone renewal, thinking we'll rest after the big project, after the deadline.
And sometimes being exhausted even becomes a weird sort of badge of honor, doesn't it? People almost brag about how little sleep they got or how many hours they work.
Totally. But this pattern is literally killing our brain's capacity to function optimally, to make good decisions, to be creative. And remember what happens when we're depleted.
We default to Q4, the couch coma, the mindless scrolling.
Exactly. Our brain is essentially overtaxed and just seeks the easiest escape, the path of least resistance.
So what do the extraordinarily productive people do differently?
They consistently recharge. They understand that energy management isn't something you do after you burn out. It's something you do proactively to prevent burnout. They maintain a regular flow of fuel to the mind and body, leading to a constant feeling of energy and capability.
They have a Q2 mentality around their energy. They establish habits that add fuel to their fire so that they don't burn out.
Precisely. Now, where does this energy come from? The book highlights 2 primary sources.
Good, what are they?
First, energy comes from a powerful purpose. And second, it comes from your physical body.
Purpose and body. Let's start with purpose. How does that connect back?
This ties directly back to choice 2, defining your extraordinary roles and goals. Those Q2 role statements you crafted, they help you rethink your personal roles and find untapped energy. When your daily actions align with a purpose that feels meaningful to you, it creates greater mental congruity and clarity, which is inherently energizing. It answers the why.
So connecting with your why is fuel, but it's not enough on its own.
No, purpose alone isn't enough if your body is depleted. You also need sustainable physical energy. And this comes from focusing on the 5 energy drivers.
The 5 energy drivers. Okay, let's break these down. What's the first one?
The first is move. And the emphasis is, it's not just about exercise in the formal sense. Our bodies were meant to move. Yet, many of us spend hours sitting. You've heard the phrase, sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah, it's pretty stark. So how do we counteract that, especially in sedentary jobs?
Simple things. Take brain breaks. Every 90 minutes or so, just stand up, stretch, walk around, take the stairs instead of the elevator, go for a walk during your lunch break, maybe even try walking meetings for certain types of discussions.
And formal exercise is important too.
Absolutely. Regular exercise has huge benefits for memory, overall brain health, and of course, physical fitness. It actually increases dopamine receptors, making you feel better and more motivated. Dr. Rady, a brain expert quoted in the book, says flat out, nothing helps the growth of new brain cells more than aerobic exercise.
And it's never too late to start.
Never. They mentioned studies showing even 93-year-olds can benefit, potentially pushing back their brain age 10 to 15 years with consistent movement.
Wow. Ajay's story in the book really drives this home, doesn't it?
It really does. He was this intense executive, only in his 30s, but feeling constantly tired, without energy, like an invalid old man. He basically ignored his health until he hit a Q1 crisis, a real health scare.
What did he do?
He had to completely rebuild. He worked with a trainer, painstakingly regaining his strength and energy, but that commitment to movement became the foundation for a whole new life experience. He could enjoy his work and his family again, with energy to spare. It wasn't just about physical health, it was about overall vitality.
Okay, so move is number 1. What's number 2?
Number 2 is eat. Simply put, the food you eat is like fuel for your brain. If you put low-quality fuel in a high-performance car, it won't run well. Same with your brain.
The book gives some specific guidelines here, right? 7 of them?
Yes, 7 simple but really profound guidelines for brain-healthy eating. Some key ones include 1. Focus on high-quality calories. Get your food from farms, not factories. So much processed food leaves us overfed and undernourished. Compare a 720-calorie cinnamon roll, which drains your brain energy after the sugar crash, to a 400-calorie nutrient-rich salad, which supercharges it. 2. Drink plenty of water. Your brain is about 80% water. Even mild dehydration, often caused by caffeine or alcohol, impairs judgment and focus. Aim for roughly 8 to 10 glasses or about 2 liters a day. 3. Use healthy fats. Our brain's solid material is about 60% fat. Focus on unsaturated fats found in things like avocados, olive oil, nuts, and fatty fish. They mention Katie's story. Her mother developed Alzheimer's, prompting Katie to reevaluate the old low-fat diet craze and embrace healthy fats for brain health.
What else?
4. Eat adequate protein. Provides amino acids needed for neurotransmitters, brain chemicals. Good sources include fish, lean meats, beans, nuts. 5. Focus on complex carbohydrates. These keep your blood sugar balanced for steady energy. Think low-glycemic, high-fiber foods. Whole grains, vegetables, fruits, beans. Avoid these simple carbohydrates or high-sugar, high-fat foods that cause that blood glucose spike, then drop, crash. 6. Eat a rainbow of fruits and vegetables. Different colors indicate different phytonutrients, so variety is key. 7. Be wise with supplements. Whole foods are always best, but they discuss the potential benefits of things like fish oil for omega-3s and vitamin D, advising you to do your homework and always consult your doctor.
So the overall benefit of eating this way is steady energy, better moods, better brain function, without needing those artificial stimulants like caffeine or sugar.
Exactly. You're giving your brain the high-quality fuel it needs to perform at its best.
Okay, move, eat. Driver number 3.
Number 3 is sleep. This is a huge one. The CDC has called sleep deprivation a public health epidemic in modern society. It's linked not just to feeling tired, but to serious issues like motor vehicle crashes, industrial disasters, and medical and other occupational errors. Not to mention chronic diseases.
And specifically for brain performance.
Sleep is absolutely critical. It's when our brain does its renewal work. It helps consolidate learning, improve memory, and basically allows you to function as a clear-thinking person the next day. They cite a study showing that being awake for 19 hours straight has a similar impact on performance as having a 0.05% blood alcohol level.
Wow, that really puts in perspective. So how do we get better sleep? Any suggestions?
The book offers several practical tips. 1. Exercise, driver 1. Regular physical activity creates a physiological need for deeper, more restful sleep. Just maybe not right before bed. 2. Turn off your devices. That blue light emitted by screens messes with your body's natural sleep-wake cycle, circadian rhythm, and just having the phone nearby can be a mental distraction. Try putting devices in another room an hour before bed. 3. Watch out for caffeine and alcohol. Caffeine has a long half-life, 3 to 7 hours for many people. Alcohol might make you feel drowsy initially, but it disrupts sleep quality later in the night. Heavy meals close to bedtime can also interfere. 4. Set up a great sleep environment. Cool, dark, quiet, comfortable mattress and pillows. Experiment to find what works best for you. 5. Get technical if you want. Explore wearable devices or apps that can track your sleep patterns and offer insights.
The key takeaway seems to be prioritizing sleep and recognizing the huge return you get.
Absolutely. The book asks, what is it worth to me to go through the day feeling clear-headed, calm, rested, and functioning at my best? Investing in sleep pays disproportionate dividends.
Okay, move, eat, sleep. What's energy driver number 4?
Number 4 is relax. And this isn't just about collapsing on the couch, which might be Q4. It's about conscious, regular recovery. High performers in any field realize the importance of balancing exertion with recovery.
Like athletes need rest days.
Exactly. The book suggests shifting focus from worrying about overtraining, working too hard, to solving under-recovery. This means you have to be very diligent and programmed about integrating activities into your life that charge you up. And interestingly, they say this often takes more discipline than training itself.
Because relaxation feels optional, like a luxury maybe.
Often, yes. But these Q2 relaxing activities, things that genuinely restore your mental and emotional energy, are vital to your productivity. They are big rocks that need to be scheduled, just like important work tasks.
They mentioned that digital disconnect experiment, right? The raft trip.
Yeah, Matt Richtel's experiment taking scientists on a raft trip in remote Utah, completely disconnected from devices. They observed the 3-day effect. Participants felt significantly more relaxed, slept better, felt less rushed, and urgency just faded away. It demonstrated how downtime was essential for brain health. We need breaks from the constant stimulation.
So what are some strategies for relaxation, besides escaping to Utah?
Well, the book lists 24 different ideas, recognizing it's very personal, but examples include spending time in nature, listening to music, meditating, deep breathing exercises, talking to supportive friends, laughing, reading for pleasure, engaging in a hobby, even just consciously switching projects at work to give one part of your brain a rest. The key is finding what renews you and making time for it, remembering these are Q2 activities that won't happen by themselves.
And what about staying calm during stressful moments, when the heat is on?
Great question. They use the example of Sandra Bullock's character, Dr. Stone, in the movie Gravity, how she consciously shifts from panic to calm, rational problem-solving when disaster strikes.
Right. How do we do that?
We need to understand the stress response. Stress triggers our reactive brain, fight, flight, or freeze, flooding us with cortisol and adrenaline. This literally decreases the functioning of our thinking brain. We can't think clearly when we're panicked. Prolonged stress leads to all sorts of physical and mental disorders.
So how do we counter it?
By cultivating the relaxation response, a term coined by Dr. Herbert Benson, we can actually train our brains to shift away from stress more easily. Happiness is a skill, they say.
Techniques.
Simple but powerful ones include deep breathing. Consciously slowing your breath sends oxygen to the brain and signals safety, pausing the reactive brain. Meditating, regular practice is incredibly stress-relieving, helps reset your baseline state, and literally rewires your brain over time. Also, learning to challenge automatic negative thoughts, ANTs, noticing those negative assumptions, writing them down, and consciously asking, is this thought actually true? Often, it's not.
Move, eat, sleep, relax. That leaves one more energy driver.
Number 5 is connect. Building and maintaining strong relationships. This is highlighted as a huge source of energy because our brain is an inherently social organ.
This involves brain chemistry too.
Yes, particularly the hormone oxytocin, often called the cuddle hormone or bonding hormone. Oxytocin is released during positive social interactions. It fosters trust, bonding, empathy, and actually reduces fear and stress.
So connection is literally good for our health.
Incredibly so.
Yeah.
They cite a long-term Harvard Medical School study showing that strong social connections are linked to longer life, lower rates of anxiety and depression, and better overall health. Conversely, a lack of connection is linked to poor health outcomes and can even cause neurons to wither.
What's the challenge here in the modern world? technology again.
Often, yes. While technology allows us to connect across distances, the book argues that many online connections do not provide the kind of psychological support and happiness derived from real-life contact. It can sometimes lead to more superficial, shallow relationships rather than deep, supportive ones.
Lisa's story in the book really speaks to this, doesn't it?
It really does. Lisa was a classic workaholic, successful in her career but running on empty. She had a significant reappraisal moment after a huge project ended, and she felt nothing, just a deeper emptiness. She realized she had been running on fumes, not fuel.
What was her realization?
She realized she was governed by an artificial flow of life that was defined by tasks and projects rather than minutes and hours. She had neglected her relationships and her connection to the natural world, so she made a conscious Q2 commitment to creating deeper relationships and connecting with natural rhythms of nature.
And her conclusion?
Her powerful conclusion was, good work is important, but it doesn't fill you in the same way as a meaningful relationship. It underscores the critical need for balance among all 5 drivers. If you ignore any one of them, move, eat, sleep, relax, or connect, it will eventually come back to catch us.
And connection requires conscious effort.
Absolutely. It requires conscious Q2 effort because, as Dr. Ed Hallowell warns, the human moment is disappearing from modern life. We have to intentionally make time and space for real connection.
So solving your energy crisis isn't about focusing on just one of these drivers. It's holistic.
Exactly. Each driver is powerful alone, but the real power comes when you have a regular pattern of life that honors all 5 energy drivers. This integrated approach strengthens you as a complete human being, fueling both your mind and body.
Allowing you to make better decisions, focus your attention, have the energy to follow through, and ultimately feel accomplished at the end of every day.
That's the goal. And as the book emphasizes, getting good at choice 5 is the foundation of your ability to implement all the other choices. It all starts with energy.
Okay, so simple ways for listeners to get started with choice 5.
Sure. Pick just one simple thing for each driver this week. 1. Move. Pick one small way to increase movement at work, like taking the stairs once, and consciously do it at least once each day this week. 2. Eat. Buy some brain-healthy snacks, nuts, fruit, and put them in your desk for easy access instead of hitting the vending machine. 3. Sleep. Try going to bed just 15 minutes earlier than you normally do tonight. Small step. 4. Relax. Plan one specific fun activity this week that helps you relax and recharge. Could be 20 minutes reading a novel, a walk in the park, listening to music. Schedule it. 5. Connect. Spend just a little extra quality time strengthening one key relationship in your life. Maybe have a focused conversation without devices, or plan a shared activity. 5. Connect.
And so we bring it all together. We've journeyed through the 5 choices: discerning the important, defining the extraordinary, scheduling the big rocks, ruling your technology, and fueling your fire. Let's return one last time to Kiva. How might her morning look different if she's truly embracing these choices?
Right. Let's imagine Kiva's transformed morning. The alarm goes off. She instinctively reaches for her phone, maybe, but then her hand brushes against her yoga shoes and outfit, which she laid out the night before. Q2 planning. She remembers she consciously put her phone to charge in another room. Choice 4 and 5.
Small changes, big impact.
Exactly. This time, she gets up, she does her yoga. Choice 5, move and relax. Afterwards, feeling centered, she takes 10 minutes for her daily Q2 planning. Choice 3. She confirms the time she blocked later for analyzing important project data. She sends a quick text to Kelly to confirm their Q2 strategy meeting later in the week. Choice 5. Connect. She takes a moment to actually notice the sun coming up. Choice 5. Relax. Connect with nature. She makes a note to plan an outdoor activity with her brother for the weekend. Choice 2, roll goal, and choice 5, connect, move.
Wow, that sounds like a much more intentional and fulfilling start to the day than grabbing the phone first thing.
Completely different energy. And then when Carl interrupts her later, asking for help with that report,
How does she handle it differently?
Instead of automatically reacting, old Kiva, she uses PCD. Pause, clarify, decide, choice 1. She discerns his request as important to him, but a Q3 distraction for her right now. She uses a practiced, polite phrase, choice 1 skill, to skillfully redirect him to Charisse in accounting, who actually has the info he needs.
So she protects her own Q2 time while still being helpful in pointing him in the right direction.
Precisely. And throughout her day, she continues to use discernment. She looks at her meeting schedule. She politely declines one meeting that she realizes is unimportant, Q3, or where her presence isn't truly needed, freeing up that time for her big rocks.
And how does she feel at the end of this kind of day?
The book suggests she feels lighter, more in control. She knows she accomplished the important things, the things aligned with her roles and goals, even if she didn't clear every single piece of gravel. She feels genuinely accomplished.
That feeling of accomplishment, not just busyness, that's the goal. And it's not about suddenly becoming perfect overnight, is it?
Not at all. It's about taking small steps each day to cultivate this habit, this Q2 way of thinking and operating in your own life. It's about simply being aware of your surroundings, the people you work with, and the constant opportunities for high-value decisions about where you spend your time, attention, and energy.
And the outcome of living this way.
The promise is clear. Your days will become much more rewarding and fulfilling. You will know deep down that you have been involved in things that matter and have done them well. You really can feel accomplished at the end of every day.
That's a powerful promise. Now, as we wrap up, we always like to leave our listeners with a final provocative thought. What should they mull over this week?
Well, the source material, The 5 Choices, explicitly states this near the end. Leadership is a choice, not a position.
Leadership is a choice, not a position.
Okay, so the question for you to consider is this. How can you, regardless of your formal role or title, whether you're CEO or just starting out, a parent, a student, a volunteer, how can you choose to be a Q2 leader in your own life?
Meaning, how can you take ownership and proactively influence things towards what's important?
Exactly. What ripple effect could your personal commitment to practicing these 5 choices have? On your family, maybe. On your team. Even on your wider community. Perhaps simply by modeling what extraordinary productivity, genuine accomplishment, and a life lived with intention actually look like.
So the final thought is really a question back to the listener. What is your next small step towards creating that extraordinary life, defined on your own terms for yourself?
That's the question to ponder.
A great place to end our deep dive. Thank you for exploring these powerful ideas with us.
Thanks for tuning in to the Book Summary Podcast. If you found value in today's episode, hit that like button, subscribe for more summaries, and share it with someone who's ready to grow. Want deeper insights, exclusive book notes, and reading tips? Join our free newsletter. The link's in the description. And don't forget, if you'd like to read the full book, our affiliate link is right below. It helps support the channel and keeps the summaries coming. Until next time, keep reading, keep growing.